Well, yeah.
This is Governor Bobber. I like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go!
You're watching Dr. Politics.
They're Dr. Politics. He's the one to see. Breaking down the news with sharp analysis. From Congress halls to campaign trails, he tells the truth when all else fails. They're Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. Exposing the spin and the lies and tricks. Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. He calls it straight, no politics as usual. Love from backroom deals to primetime fights. He sheds some light and sets things right. Debates, elections, policy. He cuts through all the DC sleaze. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics, go away. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics.
Hey, welcome everyone. It is July 25th. Summer is almost over. I know some people will be happy about that, considering it's been, the heat index has been over 100 every day this week.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a very wet, hot, sticky
Yeah.
summer. Kind of a little more traditional for us.
And you know what's funny is I discovered evidently where I used to have my garden, which I got rid of this year. I decided to retire the garden and move it to the other side of the yard. But where the garden used to be, I found there's either yellow jackets or wasps in the ground. I'm like, why didn't I notice them last year when the garden was in place? You know, but yeah, they're there. So I called the exterminator and they exterminated the wasps or whatever they were. But I'll tell you this, Don, I have the mosquito guy come in, and I was over across the street at my neighbors and they don't have a mosquito treatment. Boy, you could feel the difference. The gnats are all zooming around and stuff like that. It's just like, I'm spoiled now. I cannot go to stand in the grass, where there's a whole bunch of gnats and mosquitoes flying around.
Yeah, I mean, now that my wife retired me from cutting the grass, I don't have to fend off the gnats and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the gnats are, I don't know. I think the gnats are worse than the mosquitoes, I think.
Okay, depends. The gnats are definitely more annoying, but if you get bitten by the mosquito, then you're just kind of like, you're scratching, you're itching, or all kinds of other things.
Yeah. And they say my blood must be really sweet and tasty because I get annihilated by mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And by the way, all that stuff, the DEETs and all that stuff does not work. I've tried everything.
So I don't know if in David's neck of the woods whether or not they have the spotted lanternfly issue that we do here.
No, I hadn't heard of it now.
Okay. This is the next invasive species that has been.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Don, because this week, Montgomery County declared war on illegals. Plants, that is. They've declared war to eradicate invasive species like bamboo, English ivy, and there's a Japanese plant. Give me a second. I'll pull it up and I'll tell you. It's but those things are basically just really bad. And Mark Elric, it's basically the Japanese knotweed.
So we're talking about the ivy that will grow on your house. I mean, it will
Yes.
stick like
Yeah.
glue, and that you can't pull it off no matter how hard you try.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Well,
grew up with it. I mean, I always thought as a kid, I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Until
People
I
like
found
that
out,
when it
until I
grows on the
found out how
sides of the
destructive that
trees
is to
and
the house.
yeah. But yeah, they're an invasive species, and Mark Elric says no more. He draws the line on these illegal plants, non-native plants. Is Mark Elric now become like a nativist now? I mean,
Look, if he wants to do some good, I mean, I got a neighbor that's like 3, 4 houses down. He has got a ton of bamboo in the
mhm,
wooded area over there. It's like, and I keep waiting to see whether or not that thing is going to make its way down the
mhm,
line or whatever. I don't know I don't know if it actually spreads much or if it just, I don't know what the heck
mhm.
bamboo does. Um, but the if I was going to go after something here in Montgomery County, I'd go after the Bradford pear tree. That thing is like the worst thing that has ever happened here. And I don't know,
Yeah.
David, if you ever seen this tree, but this tree has basically killed off all the wild dogwood wherever it is. It just takes over, and people think, oh, it looks pretty. In the spring when it blooms, it smells really foul. But
Mhm.
these trees will live for 25 or 30 years, but they spread like crazy, and they kill everything in their path.
It's kind of like crepe myrtle is kind of like that. I think that's what it's called, a crepe myrtle. They grow too, and they just spread. The roots pop up. If one neighbor has a crepe myrtle tree, give it like 5 years, you'll have one growing in yours too. And I know a lot of people like crepe myrtles, like Yas from the Garden Sense show on WMAL, but I think they're ugly. I really don't like them. And the worst part is when neighbors who have crepe myrtles and other viney things, they never clean them, and they're coming into my yard because they don't clean their stuff. So I don't like those crepe myrtles. I think they're bad. But
Yeah.
have you noticed the counties, the trees they plant? I forget the name of their trees. The county plants a bunch of trees, and they grow fast, but they have more tendency of falling over in heavy storms. And
Well, that'll happen with the Bradford pear tree, especially as it gets a little older. The
mhm,
tree grows kind of weird, and if there's a big heavy storm, it's suspect. It is, you can see like half a tree just go. It can split in half
mhm,
and things like that. We've seen a few trees in our neighborhood. Our street is lined with them. This neighborhood is kind of weird because depending upon the street you're on,
mhm.
determines whether or not you have maple, oak, or Bradford pear tree. And we won the lottery by getting the Bradford pear tree. But every time one of those things kind of splits off, the county
Mhm.
either just removes it and doesn't replace it, or replaces it with another Bradford pear tree. But if they don't replace it, my wife and I are very happy. And it's just,
By the way, the best trees to have in your yard, maple, because
well,
their roots go out, and they got a stronger root system, so they're not like oak trees are more prone to tip over in heavy winds because their roots go straight down. Um, I mean, growing up and even now, I've got maple trees, and I've never been worried. I've seen oak trees fall, Um, and while we're talking about Montgomery County, Don, let's talk about the little flash flood they had in Silver Spring at the transit center, the Paul Sarbanes Transit Center.
uh, yeah,
Last Friday, they're talking, oh, Sligo Creek's flooded. Sligo Creek is flooding over the banks. Well, it does that all the time when you get heavy rains. And sometimes it does make it onto Sligo Creek Parkway. Beach Drive will flood too. It just happens, and don't drive through it, you know. But the Sarbanes Transit Center, Yeah, we had a lot of rain, but also, the storm drains. Evidently, at the Silver Spring Metro, they never bother cleaning those, so all the water was pooling where the storm grates, whereas it was going, but it was going very, very slowly. And
Why am I not surprised about the lack of cleaning?
yeah, I mean, it's like that on the Beltway in PG County. One day, I was driving home from Goddard while it was raining in the left lane. There's a big pool of water, so everyone's like swerving to get out of the. And again, that's because there was probably a storm drain there that wasn't cleaned, and the water just pooled on top.
What about in
And
David's neck of the woods? I mean, since I was away, I mean, I saw pictures here and there. Did
yeah,
your
did
part
you
of
have any
Virginia
flooding
get
in
a lot of
McLean?
flooding?
Do we have any flooding now?
No flooding last Friday when you had the biblical storms, according to Evan Glass and
I didn't
other
see.
Montgomery County Democrats.
No, none. I shouldn't say.
Even Jamie Raskin got into the act, biblical portion, which, by the way, Don, I know you've been gone, but on the club site, Ian did he did a review of one of those B movies from the 70s. It was called The Bees, and where humanity was the villain. These killer bees come from South America, and they develop intelligence and sentience. And the movie ends with them opening up negotiations with the bees for peaceful coexistence. It was a very interesting movie. The bees learned how if enough of them pile onto the windows, they can shatter the windows and get into buildings and stuff like that. I love those 1970s
There have been a lot of
movies.
strange movies in our lifetime. Okay.
Do you remember the movie Empire of the Ants with these ants that decided to enslave humans on a Florida sugar plant? Joan Collins was in it, or was it Joan Collins, not Joan Rivers?
Yeah.
The gal from Dynasty.
You have some of the most obscure references to things.
Well, Dynasty was a hit show, I think.
Yeah, but
Just like Dallas was a big show. Where they had the only reunion of I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden, and Major Nelson, Larry Hagman on Dallas. And I thought the Dallas writers would have done a better job doing like they ended the series with JR shooting a mirror because Joel Grey played the devil. It would have been better if they had him wake up in Florida as an astronaut with Barbara Eden, like they did and this would have been done before Newhart. I think that would have been the way to end the series. It was all a dream he was having.
why don't we actually talk some news now?
Yeah, let's do that. A lot of things going on this week. President Trump had some really good economic news this week. And his popularity is still up there fairly strong at 46, 47%. I think going into midterms, this is really where you want to be.
Yeah, I think so. And one pollster said 46% is the new 56%. Because the country's so divided and it's so negative that, and if you look historically at Trump, certainly in the first term, his overall approval rating is still, relatively speaking, pretty good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although I think it should be higher. Don't get me wrong. I think it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it will. I think you're right, though. I don't think that because the country's so divided. I don't know how much higher it could really go under these circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is, like I said, this is the place you want to, if you're a party going into midterms, this is really where you want to be at 46. Because I think we'll pick up a few Senate seats this time around, actually.
Mike, yeah, I agree. I'm concerned, though, in Georgia, there's no reason Ossoff should survive if not Purdue, the current governor.
Brian Kemp, yeah.
Brian Kemp, if he were the nominee, we'd crush. That's an easy pickup, but he's not going to run. And then I think same thing with New Hampshire. If we had Sununu in there, he'd crush. Well, we don't.
Well, I think we could. I don't know. I think Bob Barr's still alive. The former congressman, Bob Barr.
Well, I don't know. He's got to be up there in age.
Yeah.
Take one for the team, Bob, if you're alive. Run for Senate.
This is, I mean, that's an interesting point, though. Overall, it's just that if we could have convinced some of these governors to run when they were term limited out or and things like that, we would be in much better shape. I mean, Arizona, the same thing. I mean, maybe not all the Republicans liked Ducey,
but he would have
he would have won. He would have won the seat. So the Republicans, I mean, they're not.
I mean, not to be that guy, but I think McCormick would have been the senator 2 years earlier if he was the nominee in Pennsylvania. Frankly,
I think that's a strong possibility. Yeah, I mean, look,
I think so.
Yeah, Republicans continue to shoot themselves in the foot, when it comes to Senate nominees and things like that. I don't know how North Carolina is going to go. I mean, if Cooper runs, that'll be kind of a tough race for anybody. So.
But if governor is, I think Governor McRory might run for that Senate seat, and he is. I mean, he comes from Charlotte. You and I met him when we were in North Carolina a couple times. I think he'd be a good senator for North Carolina. North Carolina, by the way, shot themselves in their foot by nominating what's his name for governor, and I kind of had a feeling this guy's not ready for prime time, but that's who North Carolinians and everyone from Dan Bongino to everyone's like, oh my God, this is the best thing since sliced bread.
Well, the thing about North Carolina I don't understand is it's generally a good state, Republican state, but we get the worst candidates. I don't really get it. I don't know why. You'll get a Tom Tillis and you got a Richard Burr, and
well, they're not bad. Tom Tillis and Richard Burr are not bad people. I mean, we liked Richard Burr and Tom Tillis back when President Bush was president.
I guess, maybe. I don't remember. But in the case of Burr, he was such a non-entity that Mark Warner was the ranking member of, I guess it was Intel Committee. He controlled the committee. I mean, he literally controlled the Burr was so horrible that Warner just controlled it. And, I was always stunned by that. Richard Burr reminded me of, when they have the picture like of the basketball player like dunking right over somebody right in their face. Richard Burr is like the guy getting dunked on. That's Richard Burr.
So he got posterized, right?
He gets posterized as just like totally prostate there. This guy is dunking right in his face.
I really have a great. I think leadership should have replaced him as a committee chair if that was the problem, frankly. And
I'm just saying that I don't understand what North Carolina's problem is. Why we just continue to get the I don't know. It's
what I think. You know how I think we need to fix some of these primaries. If we did like a death match, kind of like Thunderdome, and the one who survives is our nominee.
Well, by the way, it reminds me. You mentioned sort of Thunderdome, and for some reason, it reminded me of the sad news that Hulk Hogan passed away.
Yes, as did Malcolm Jamal Warner
and Ozzy Osbourne. It always comes in threes.
Yeah.
But Hogan, as a kid, my father used to take me to the wrestling matches there in the Cap Center.
Oh, yes, the Cap Center.
Hogan. Yeah, the Cap Center. I saw Hogan wrestle twice.
They also did. Did you ever go to Dundalk? Because they also were in Dundalk, Maryland.
No, I went to the Cap Center.
I don't know where in Dundalk those guys. Because I don't know if any arenas there, but I know they used to do that.
Unless it was a television taping or something, I don't know what you'd have.
I mean, I was never a person for in favor of wrestling. If Chris Haas is watching, Chris, you're the wrestling expert. Because wrestling was fake. Frankly.
Yeah, it is, but it was like a soap opera. It was like entertainment. I mean, as a kid,
I never got into it. I just thought it was just dumb.
That's all it is entertainment. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
It wasn't even good entertainment. It would also be on Saturday mornings up against the Super Friends or the Spider Friends or some comic book cartoon.
But Hogan helped make wrestling big. I mean, Hulk Hogan was one of the ones making it national.
Wasn't there some terrorist guy, the Iron Sheik or something like that?
Yeah,
he basically hated America.
Well, he was very pro-America. The real guy it was an act, but the real guy was actually very pro-America, very proud American. He was an immigrant. from Iran, and he was a great wrestler under the Shah. But he got out, I think, as the during the revolution, and he was an Olympic wrestler. I forgot his name, but he then
Iron
was
Sheik?
the Iron Sheik. Yeah, but that was an act. He was a very good American. He was a very good guy.
What is it? Because I had I think it was Chris.
Let me just say the ironic thing is his villain character was like he was a Sheik or an Arab, but he wasn't Arab. He was Persian. But you notice he had the headdress and everything. But
yeah,
that wouldn't be Iranian. That's not. But for the American crowd, the average American probably doesn't know the difference between a Persian and an Arab.
Right.
So they had to.
Also, half the people that watched WrestleMania probably thought he really was an anti-American terrorist lover.
Yeah. The other thing is they had the drill instructor, Sergeant Slaughter. But
he joined G.I. Joe. I remember he joined G.I. Joe because G.I. Joe was getting a little soft, so General Hawk called in Sergeant Slaughter to.
Well, I think the ironic thing, it was sort of controversial. I didn't know this at the time. He wasn't the real guy wasn't a Marine. I mean, never was in the Marine Corps. So some people think it was just sort of an act. It was all an act.
And Cobra tried to steal his DNA when they were creating Serpentor because they couldn't get Alexander the Great's DNA, so they were going to substitute with Sergeant Slaughter. And Sergeant Slaughter, when they're creating Serpentor, he smashes the tank with his DNA, and that's why Serpentor was very erratic and so on. But yeah, those were great cartoon days back then. Yeah. But
and Malcolm Jamal Warner, that's a tragedy, and he's only 54.
Yeah,
this was an accident.
Not much older than us.
Yeah, and that was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was an accident.
Yeah, and it shows the dangers of water, and you have to be careful. Watch what you're doing because if you get caught in kind of a riptide, like an undertow.
Yep,
it's very hard to fight back against that. You exhaust yourself trying to. Especially people tend to fight. They want to fight directly against it instead of really. I think
you're supposed to go with it,
go with the flow, and then try to get in. And as a result, that is a tragedy because even post Cosby days,
he was Homeboys in Outer Space. That was his other show.
He had a bunch. He did a bunch of things. He was actually on a couple of doctor shows that I've watched and stuff like that. And I thought he had a pretty good presence on the screen and everything like that. And it's just I thought that was one of the more shocking deaths that we've had here recently.
And then the other thing is the celebrity chef Anne Burrell, also pretty much our age. She died, and I didn't read the story, but apparently it was a suicide. And they're saying that a suicide was involved.
Yeah, I mean, she died a while back, and they finally, I think, ruled it a suicide.
Yes, that was a while back, but that was a shocker. But when someone dies young like that, you kind of wonder if it's in some sort of foul play involved, because usually you're young enough that you shouldn't be dying of natural causes in your 50s.
And here's something interesting. TV Land always does marathons for when some celebrity dies. They'll do a marathon, right? They'll do, but you notice they're not doing a Cosby Show marathon. And
because of Bill Cosby, I assume Cosby's become.
Yeah,
but I still think they should. I think they should, because I mean, you need to separate Bill Cosby, human being, from Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable.
I agree with you, but a lot of people have trouble with that. But what comes around goes around. It was Cosby that helped keep the Dukes of Hazzard apparently off reruns because he didn't like the Dukes of Hazzard.
He bought the rights to him. Bill Cosby bought the rights.
All right. Is he in jail or he got out of jail, right?
He got out of jail.
Yeah.
Okay.
He took this death pretty hard too, they were saying.
Oh, did he?
Okay. Because I want to say his son, Cletus or Clarence Cosby, I forgot his son's name, but he was shot in a robbery gone bad years ago. Somebody was trying to carjack him from that. And they were saying how he took that just as hard.
I mean, I'm sure he was close to the Theo. His name was Theo, the character Theo, because they probably spent a lot of time together, and probably pretty close to him. So
evidently, there's remember when E was still a network, and then E True Hollywood Stories.
Mm.
Like they did one on the Cosby Show, and I saw one so YouTube. Evidently, only person Bill Cosby didn't get along with on the show was the daughter, the one that dropped out of college and went to Africa on the show. Lisa Bonet. He did not get along with her.
Oh, okay.
Because the reason I think he didn't like her because he went out of his way to get her own show,
Yeah.
that spin-off show she had.
Yes.
And then when she decided she got pregnant, that's why she left. And she came back, and then she got pregnant again or something. So she left again. There was a lot of fighting between her and Cosby.
Well,
Yeah. Those girls were not quite so innocent, right? I mean,
yeah.
We had the other one wasn't the younger one had That's So Raven on Disney, but now is a big lesbian or something like that.
Yeah. She was also in Hanging with Mr. Cooper too.
So,
but I think the television, has really, really changed a lot. I think they're putting stuff on. I mean, Dave, you and I remember. Don, you probably remember this when Married with Children was the worst thing that ever aired on television.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
and actually, somebody said Love American Style got the same reaction when it came out, and I'm like, that was the spinoff for Happy Days.
Well, I've been watching, and I probably mentioned this before. A lot of times I'll watch the oldies, which is Me TV, and I got into like Mannix through there and a bunch of other shows. They've got Dragnet on, and Dragnet with Harry Morgan, the one from the 60s.
The one with Joe Friday?
Two Dragnets. Dragnet in the 50s and the 60s.
And there was a 90s Dragnet.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, it was on syndication. And they also had Adam 12.
Adam 12, yeah. Adam 12's on, and I'll watch that sometimes too. That was probably the glory days when LA was really probably a cool place.
Well, that was also and those shows, including Dragnet, were made in cooperation with the LAPD. And I did not know this, but Adam 12 and Emergency they were both in the same universe. And the other interesting, because I don't know there was something back then, I guess, in syndication, they never used the same name. Like Happy Days in syndication was Happy Days Again. Emergency was Emergency One. And then you had Laverne and Shirley in reruns was Laverne and Shirley and Company.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. Nowadays, like syndicated, they don't change their names. I don't know if it was because back then, I don't know, only a couple of networks and wouldn't want to confuse people or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I never got into Laverne and Shirley. I liked Happy Days, but Laverne and Shirley, I could never really get into.
I liked that show. It was a good show. I liked them both.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that was a different kind of show. It was I watched it a lot of times, but it was not. Happy Days was far better to watch.
Yeah, and Happy Days didn't do a time jump.
Well, it was also a spinoff of Happy Days, Mork and Mindy.
Yes.
Because remember, Mork was on an episode of Happy Days.
Yeah, in the 50s. He timed that was because he told Mindy that was the second time he's been to Earth.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And
that was Robin Williams' big break, I guess, right? As Mork.
Well, they had Happy Days had a lot of spinoffs. You had Joni Love Chachi.
Yeah, that's true.
You had Howard Cunningham's cousin, Blonsey, had a spinoff called Blonsey's Girls, where she was like managing a bunch of showgirls in Vegas.
And didn't Al there was a spinoff with Al? Did he get his own place?
Yeah, Joni Love Chachi, that was the spinoff. They moved to Chicago and opened up a restaurant.
Oh, okay. All right. But, Joni Love Chachi didn't make it long, right? It was like a year.
It was just one season. Yeah.
Just one season. Yeah.
They thought that was I'm kind of shocked that it didn't go longer, but yes, people didn't. Yes, Joni and Chachi weren't too funny without their supporting cast.
Yeah, sometimes you'll notice that the spinoff doesn't work because someone can't carry it, kind of. They're fine as a secondary character. I just thought Will Ferrell's fine as a secondary character, but Will Ferrell's not going to carry anything.
Well, it's
So
kind of like, I mean, Norman Lear kind of hit the jackpot with spinoffs
okay.
because All in the Family spun off the Jeffersons, went for 10 years or
Mhm.
more. And then he spun off, before that, he spun off Good Times, which I like to call the anti-Jefferson show.
But who would have
And
guessed
then
that? Well, who would have guessed that Frasier would have gone as long as Cheers?
it went longer than Cheers, I think.
Yeah, maybe it
Didn't it?
was. Yeah, maybe it was.
And now it's back again in reboots or second
Amazing.
Yeah, but
wins.
that's been canceled now. So
They canceled it.
they canceled the new one, I think.
All right.
See, no reason nobody watches NBC anymore. They can't anything halfway reasonable to watch. They cancel, and they keep the garbage like ER on the air still. Is it still on there? It's been a while since I've watched
I'm not.
television.
I'm not sure. Was it Peacock that had the reboot, or was it Paramount that had the reboot?
Peacock, I think.
Anyway, I went ahead and looked here. So spin-offs for Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Blansky's Beauties, Mork and Mindy, Out of the Blue. What was that?
Out of the Blue, that was the one where I think I remember that. That was like some guy dies and he comes back and like he's like a angel, but he's taking care of the kids at some house. I think that may have been it. It didn't last long.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it says it basically lasted for 3 months.
I think Pinky Tuscadero had her own show, I think, or was that another show?
Journey Loves Chachi. And then the animated Fonz and the Happy Days gang, and a Laverne and Shirley with the Fonz animated. So they're giving it credit for 7 spin-offs, including the 2 animations. Not a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And the shows were based out of Milwaukee. Who would have guessed that Milwaukee, kind of a mid-sized town, but they came out of Milwaukee.
Would you say Milwaukee is about the size of Baltimore?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's around Baltimore size.
I bet they didn't pay $3.9 million for a website that's not even finished.
No, probably not.
Oh no, let me tell you, Baltimore City.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money on a website.
Yeah.
City of Cleveland just launched a website, $685,000. And Baltimore, they're up to 3.9 million right now. Probably going to be 4, but before it's all done, it's like the big dig. And I'll tell you this: they only had 6 bids for this contract. No, 6 companies that they were offered to bid, and only 2 bid. One was a big donor to Mayor Scott, and the other one was not a donor. And basically, the donor, their bid was 1.1 million. The other company bid 300,000. Now, guess which person got the contract? If you said it's the lowest bidder, no, because the lowest bidder was not a donor to the Brandon Scott campaign. While you have $1.1 million. They start at 1.1, and it's ballooned $3.9 million. By the way,
Sounds
just
like
for
the Purple Line.
Yeah, or the Big Dig in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But just for comparison, Philadelphia built a much larger city than Baltimore. $2 million. Their site was done.
Yeah.
You had DC. They did their site for about $1 million. Cleveland, Ohio, $685,000. What does that tell you? Baltimore needs a shopper. I mean, why didn't Baltimore just ask some high school kids to do their website for them? They could have got it done for nothing. They could have hired 4 people to build a web team to build the site themselves. It would have been cheaper. And they could have spent $3.3 million on a lot of things like fixing potholes. But no. For them, it's all about yeah. So
So I just want to point out you were dead on. I went to look this up, and it says
Mhm.
Milwaukee's population is roughly 570,000.
Mhm.
Baltimore is around 565,000.
Yeah.
So they're neck and neck. But
yeah, Cleveland's
here's
also the
something that I
same.
thought was interesting. It says Milwaukee is the 5th largest city in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, Cleveland's also one of the larger cities in the Midwest, and they're about the same size as Baltimore too.
And Cincinnati's
Chicago's
probably a little
probably
small. And Cincinnati's probably a little smaller than Baltimore.
yeah. I mean,
Okay,
Cleveland's the little
Cleveland's at 363,000. So
yeah.
they're much smaller.
You know what
And
surprised me? How big Columbus, Ohio is. I used to think of Columbus, Ohio as a mid-sized town. It's not. It's a major city. And in fact, it's
Mhm.
bigger than Cincinnati. It's probably bigger than Cleveland.
yeah, it is.
But who would have guessed Columbus? Well, it's the state capital, and I guess Ohio State is there. So,
hmm
Yeah, 913,000.
yeah.
Yeah, that
But
dwarfs
the
a
biggest
lot.
city in the Midwest is probably Chicago, followed by Milwaukee, Cleveland.
I said Milwaukee is 5th.
Oh, they're
So
fifth. Okay.
yeah, let's see.
So Detroit's
It
probably you got to have Chicago, Detroit, because Detroit's a Midwest city.
depends on, I guess, what you consider upper Midwest or Midwest. But yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so it says here Chicago number 1, Columbus number 2, Indianapolis number 3, Detroit number 4, Milwaukee number 5,
All right.
Kansas City number 6, Omaha number 7, Minneapolis 8, Wichita 9, Cleveland is 10th,
All right.
Cincinnati is
There you
12th.
go. That's not bad. I mean, yeah, it's the Midwest. I mean, it's not like or the Northeast. You got Philadelphia. I mean, Wilmington's bigger than all those cities too. You've got
But you know what's interesting? I mean, but the disparity is that it says Chicago's population is 2.7 million.
mhm.
Columbus is number 2, and well, this one shows 905, but the other thing said 9. I guess this is because this one's 2020 versus 2013. The other thing,
Mhm.
but there it's almost a 2 million
swing.
person difference between number 1 and number 2. That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, it also depends on maybe what you count too. I guess with some of these.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
surprised
what is-
Detroit. I'm
what-
surprised
what's- what
Detroit's
exactly
number.
is the metropolis of how you count
Yeah.
that.
I'm kind of surprised Detroit's not number 2 or 3. They were number 4. That was a little interesting shift there.
Well, Detroit's probably taken over the last few decades a big hit in population. I don't know.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I think they're coming back a little bit, but they definitely
Yeah.
struggled for a long time.
I think Detroit's come back. You know, it's interesting. I used to say to people, I had a friend from Michigan, and I still do, but I said for some odd reason, I always wanted to visit Detroit. And she laughed and said, "Matt, you really don't want to visit Detroit." So
Hey,
I guess
Look,
kind of a dumb.
I visited. I was at a state policy network thing in Cleveland. Actually, I think it was the year. It was the year Dwight
16 when we had
got me to run for office. That was back in 2010.
2020. Yeah, 2010. Yeah.
2010, and I get in a taxi cab to go to the airport, and this taxi cab driver is like, he keeps looking at me, and I'm like, okay, you think I'm Dennis Kucinich, don't you? Because for some weird reason,
Yeah.
people thought that. I'm like, I don't see the resemblance. What is the deal here?
And you're taller than Dennis.
Oh, it's like, and why would I want to be even close to anything as a doppelganger for that nut?
Yeah. Well, Dennis Kucinich kind of after he lost his seat, because I know he was on Hannity a lot, and he was basically agreeing with a lot of the stuff Hannity was saying for a while.
He had a hot wife for a while, didn't he? Marry someone who's kind of hot.
Oh, he still does. That's still his wife.
Wow, who would have guessed?
Are you jealous, David?
No. I've been there,
Yeah,
done that. I don't need
It does make you wonder how this happens, except maybe the money or something, the fame.
Yeah, or power or fame.
The trophy wife, right? Kind of
Hey,
Yeah.
I just got an email from Mark Elric. Climate action.
Oh, is it his weekly email or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't checked that.
There's a jazz festival in Silver Spring. Bring your flak jackets. Because the last 3 years, I think there've always been some shooting there. Because you get
Hey,
all the people.
can we switch to something now too?
Yes, we can. Can we talk about?
David wrote an article, I mean, on kind of Russia, and some other things on the Substack, and I think we ought to let David talk about that, because this is news in the sense of, you know, did Obama, how much did Obama know? Why is Trump going after him and everything like that? David, I think I want to give you, I think you ought to kind of explain your point of view about this, because I thought you had a pretty reasoned viewpoint, because I did my podcast on Wednesday and my co-host was like, oh, he's guilty, and all this stuff. And it's like, no.
Wait, your co-host said Trump was guilty?
No. I mean, Obama.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I don't think he'll go to jail.
I was gonna say.
But I mean, it was just like, look, this is a problem with sometimes the MAGA people, is that they just take everything out there and they don't actually look at some of the facts. David, you were talking about, there are bad people that are involved in this.
Yeah.
But I mean, are we're going to go after Obama? I mean, for this?
Yeah. Basically, Trump wants to settle the score, but to be honest with you, I think it's already sort of settled, in the sense that people realize that it was a dirty trick and that there was no collusion with Russia. And I think that'll be history's verdict. And in terms of prosecuting anybody, I don't know who you'd prosecute, because in the case of Obama, he'd have immunity and he set the whole thing up. In terms of Clapper, Brennan, and Comey, I think the only thing maybe you could get them on is perjury, but you've got a statute of limitations issue maybe with that. And for Republicans, I almost think just let it go and start focusing on the accomplishments and things he wants to do and things that are getting done, and really sell that. If you keep bringing this back up, where people have really already made up their minds on the whole Russia, I wouldn't really touch it. I don't see the gain in it. I mean, I think it's fine to release all the information if you can prosecute. If crimes were committed, then the Justice Department should go after them. But I don't think Congress should spend any more time on this in terms of investigations. They got other things to investigate. So, yeah, it's weird how Trump didn't want to talk about Russia for the first 2 years, and he thought this is a distraction. Well, it's still a distraction, and I don't think he needs to vindicate himself on this. So, yeah, I would basically say, just move on. And think about it this way: a certain amount of justice took place. Strzok got fired. Page, I guess, got fired. Comey got fired. The Durham report and the Mueller report exonerated Trump, denounced the FBI in terms of the management of Comey. I mean, Inspector General Horowitz' report was just brutal on Comey. So I don't really see the need necessary for another investigation. And unless Clapper or Brennan confess, I think
Which they're not going to do, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I look at it more like a political dirty trick. Treason would be tough because, well, that's a specific thing, and you'd probably have to have a wartime situation. And any other criminality, I think it'd be kind of hard to make the case on it.
Well,
and why gin up the base to think that, hey, we can get more convictions when you're not going to get any more convictions? So you may just disappoint the base.
Yeah,
so move on,
right.
I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, look, you're right. Look, he already has the win, okay? In the sense of we've seen the reports, we know what's going on there. Do we need to really dig into this anymore? He is the president. He's on his second term now. Move forward and do things you can for the country. This stuff is like, oh, I need to take revenge and go after these people while I have this, this last few years of power. We don't need to do that. As you said, just like, why do you gin up the MAGA base to think about all those things? There are other things that we need to focus in on. I mean, we're now muddled in this whole Epstein garbage, which we don't need to be there. I mean, it's like another distraction. Trump is doing enough good things. He's not doing everything perfectly, but he's doing enough good things. But the Republicans and they're getting kind of caught up in all this stuff. They keep giving the Democrats a lifeline to
Yep.
go and attack him. I don't know that it matters too much because Trump is just going to be Trump. But kind of, I'm this. Let the sleeping dogs lie. Let's move ahead. I think a lot of stuff is very dubious. But because Trump is not. He's not a guy who spouts a lot of actual facts, right? I mean, his fight with Jerome Powell. I mean, I'm watching that. I mean, watching Powell's reaction with Trump with the hard hat and in this whole 3.1 billion. Like, and then he's like, I haven't. He looks at that and he says, "Well, we're talking about another building."
Yeah.
My biggest problem with this, as the son of a Federal Reserve employee from the 1970s and 1960s, even, is just that until this whole kerfuffle came up about the cost overruns about the renovation of the building, was that I didn't know we had a third building. When my father retired, we had two buildings.
Yeah, they're like, those are
one.
And those were the two buildings over on Pennsylvania Avenue, right by GW.
No, we're on Constitution. So basically, there's Constitution Avenue has got a long line of government buildings, right?
Yeah,
buildings that were built like in the 1920s or 30s. They're marble floors, really beautiful buildings, interior, exterior. I mean, they're really historic. They built a 13-story building in the 1970s behind that other one. Okay, so it was basically the next block over. So I haven't even looked to see where the third building is. I'm like,
that must be the one on Pennsylvania Avenue by GW.
This is the problem that that my father was talking about, just that when he was around, in terms of this. This is government bloat. I mean, why does he didn't like the fact that the Federal Reserve had to actually go and build a 13-story building, at that time. I don't know how tall the next building is. I gather by the fact that Powell said it was the Martin building. It must be named after the former Fed chair William McChesney Martin back in the day. But this is like this is where Elon Musk and Doge and everything like this. Why do we have so many buildings? Why do we have so many employees? We have a long way to go to cut the size of government and try to make the federal government as well as state governments more efficient. We're drowning in debt, and we just see it everywhere.
Well, in this case, I'm somewhat sympathetic with Powell. Trump is a real estate guy and he's a builder, and so obviously interest rates are important to him, and they are important. But I think we don't have high inflation right now. It's at 2.7%. But I understand Powell's concern because you got some upward pressure on.
Hey, Don, this is the third building.
This is World Bank.
Not
the Federal Reserve.
Oh, no.
Find the right building.
Okay, my bad.
Did you ever read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, which apparently is about the formation of the Federal Reserve? I don't know if it's by Murray Rothbard or it's by one of the libertarian sort of economists, and it talks about how the Federal Reserve was created, and it was sort of an anti-federal.
I want to say, Don, the third building is by Capitol Hill, Pennsylvania Avenue Southeast.
Why would they locate a building so far away from the other two, though?
For their lobbyists.
I don't know why they need three buildings.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's a smallish, right? Isn't it a small agency? I thought it was kind of small quasi-agency. And aren't they really in the field? The Federal Reserve banks and the governors, they're not here in D.C., are they?
No. They're 12 Federal Reserve banks spread across the country.
Right.
And they have a rotating, the bank presidents rotate voting privileges on the committee for when they talk about interest rates and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because Virginia, we've got one. We've got a Federal Reserve in Richmond.
Right. You do.
But there's certain prestige, I think, in that. There is a prestige in that to have a Federal Reserve.
I mean, here's the thing about the renovations too. Is that Jerome Powell is, our leading. He's the head of our central bank. He's he's not the construction manager, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, going after him for anything about cost overruns is like, I don't see how this is necessarily Jerome Powell's fault that the thing is cost over. You know, how many projects we're talking about the government? How many projects have had cost overruns? It's like, you know, it's just this thing that he has about Jerome Powell. Okay, we know Jerome Powell is done next year. I mean,
This is the third one, I think, Don.
There's no doubt that he's going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Is it this one?
I don't know, where is that one located.
I'm trying to find that address, but I think this is the one.
Is that Constitution? Is it Constitution Avenue?
So the main building's on Constitution Avenue. That's the original building.
This one was built in 1937.
Yeah, see, I think that's the original building.
It's Soviet architecture. Look at that, Soviet architecture.
You think that is? Oh, here, this is the one. No, this is the same one.
This same one.
Oh. Maybe the third is like a phantom. They don't. It's like a black site. They don't tell you because even Wikipedia only has these two buildings. You know.
Well, you know, for years there was a CIA building, and nobody knew it was a CIA building in Arlington, Clarendon, and I think it was a secret. But it was one of the famous buildings in Arlington, in Clarendon area, basically. And that's
where your cell service dies when you drive by.
Maybe because one of my friends' father worked for the CIA, and he later told me, yeah, that was the CIA building. Really, they were there.
Yeah. By the way, Stephen Colbert, his show has been canceled.
Yeah.
Democracy has died. But here's something for you, Don. You're old enough to remember this when CBS had the rural purge, where they got rid of maybe RFD, Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres, and Petticoat Junction. But all three of those are spinoffs from Green Acres, Petticoat Junction. Because they had Granny was related to Mr. Drucker from Green Acres.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My favorite of, and I don't necessarily like the show Green Acres, but my favorite character was the guy who was bumbling, who would confuse things constantly. For example, he told them, he says, "Well, I've got unofficial business at the state capitol," or is that official business at the county seat? But he would always kind of jumble things.
Oh yeah, he was like the county manager or something. Like
yes, I thought he was so funny with his little spiels or his confusion.
But my point is this, right? His ratings were bad. That's why he got canceled.
Oh yeah,
Democracy did not die.
The thing that strikes me is that they were losing they're paying him $20 million. They're losing $40 million.
Sounds like a government job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
But no, it's like and you have all these. They go, because Trump's buddy bought CBS. That's why this is all. Yeah, Trump's buddy. I think Leslie Stahl and all those guys maybe. CNN may finally be not CNN. 60 Minutes may finally be canceled.
The thing about Colbert and Fallon and Kimmel, they're not funny.
No,
I mean, that's what I don't understand. Well, Kimmel somewhat, but I think for the most part they're not funny. And
Don, the CBS World Purge they did, all those shows were in the top 20 Nielsen's ratings when they got canceled, and they were replaced with All in the Family, Mary Tyler Moore, and two other MASH, and there was another show. I mean, they're all. I like those shows. I thought Mary Tyler Moore was not a bad show. I really liked All in the Family. MASH, I liked it. I liked it when I got older. Didn't like when I was younger. But and then I can't. And they, they all kind of grew. They were great. Carol Burnett, that was the other show, the Carol Burnett Show, which was also a very funny show. But I mean, remember Jay Leno got his show canceled on NBC too. He had a 10 o'clock time slot show. But
so I'm still trying to figure out this thing. The best I can figure out about this Fed thing And
Yeah.
apparently there's a second building on Constitution Avenue that was empty when they acquired it. So there's two, I guess there's two buildings now on Constitution Avenue, almost next to each other, very close to each other. And then there's the building that was built in the 70s behind them. So they, what I was looking at there was that the renovations are very costly because of asbestos, plus they're adding on to it, and it's a historic building. So they face lots of challenges with historic buildings to actually do that. But yeah, I know. And Colbert, that whole thing, yeah, he's railing against this, right? I mean, all the cancellation and stuff like that. But part of the issue, is that he's had a long list of liberals on his show. He kind of started off as a faux Republican conservative, but late night television is dying. The hosts are bailing one by one.
Evidently, it looks like they say the third building, according to Chat GPT, is International Square building over on K Street between K and I. Because they say there's one C Street Northwest and 2051 Constitution, and that was built in 37. And the other, the McChesney Martin Jr., longest serving Fed chairman, his building was built in 51. And they say this one, 1850 K Street.
That's interesting.
I don't know how accurate it is. It's ChatGPT. So as ChatGPT's disclaimer said.
This is funny though. I mean, it's like we're struggling to find good information. I mean, generally you Google and you get a bunch of stuff or whatever, and sometimes
these are 3 federal buildings we're trying to find. How hard is it Google to find 3 addresses for us?
Much harder than I thought it would be.
I think the third one would be a black ops site.
I don't know.
It's the decoy building for when the libertarians attack.
See, this is why Trump was getting bad information, because his people couldn't figure it out either. Nobody could figure out exactly what's involved in this. Nobody really knows. Powell apparently knew that there was the third building in there, but I don't know how many people.
By the way, I question if International Square is really the third building, because International Square they've got a food court in there too.
Yeah, that doesn't quite sound right. I mean, back from the old days of International Square when we used to go down there and everything like that. Well, we're almost out of time, Dwight.
Yeah, I know. Time flies when you're having fun. It's like we actually talked more politics than we talked trivial stuff.
Oh, you admit that we talked other stuff?
Yeah, we did. We talked about Colbert getting canned. And there was a show I liked a lot growing up called Misfits of Science. Don,
I kind of remember that. Yeah,
Dean Martin's son was in it, and it got canceled. Maybe I should have said Democracy died when NBC canceled Misfits of Science. Yeah, maybe I should have done that. Maybe they would have brought it back to save democracy. Or when Manimal was canceled, that was another blow to democracy. All these blows to democracy. But anyways, final thoughts. Dave, take it away.
Thanks, Don, for saying something nice about my column. And anyone can check it out, David Shepard Substack. So please do. And also on my Substacks, you can check out my podcast. Phil Hamilton and I do a weekly wrap. So, and Phil's a former delegate from Newport News. And I guess that's about it. Looking forward to a good weekend. Hopefully it's not going to be too hot.
Don, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Just, I think a couple of things here. One is that we just had, Kamala Harris recently tweeted about the 1-year anniversary of the start of her campaign, without a mention of Joe Biden at all. She's completely tone deaf on this whole thing. She wasn't nominated, right? I mean, they just handed this thing to her on a silver platter, and she blew it. It's like, and why would you remind people about this campaign? You know, it, yes, okay, so she's the first female nominee for president, but it was such a disaster. She should be spending time rehabilitating her political career after this disaster, instead of reminding people right now, about this, and then not mentioning, Joe Biden at all. I mean, that's probably a slap in the face to Joe. Then we have Hunter Biden, resurfacing to try to defend his dad, which was I don't know if anybody saw any of
Oh
that.
my God, that was like
Yeah.
Ian wrote an article a few weeks ago, a few months ago, actually, saying if you take the F word out of the left's vocabulary, they'd be dumb mutes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's true. Hunter Biden, he could not go like a second without the F word.
Oh, it was
flying
bad.
out.
That was bad. Yeah, no, it was definitely bad. But
And
I mean,
that's not to interrupt, but I'll be very quick. But the problem with that type of language, you just turn people off, and also you show people that you're not very bright or you're not very articulate. If I have to resort to "f you," that's sort of a concession that, well, I got nothing decent to say. So.
Mm-hmm.
see, and I don't want to just, and I agree. I generally agree with you, David, because the I can't watch, as much as I like her, I can't watch Megyn Kelly because
Yes,
she drops so many F bombs. I'm like,
I
what are
And
you? trying
I
to
think
prove?
it's gotten to the point where it's like, oh look, I'm edgy, I'm using the F word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
sorry,
it's
no.
like
I tried really hard to watch her show because she's got some good information. She's a smart person. She can do good interviews, but the F bombs, I just shut her off. I can't do it. I just cannot do it.
I
mean,
agree. I agree.
Yeah. So, anyway,
it's like that episode of Friends where every other word was ass because FCC said they could use ass, and it's like every other word on Friends. And I'm like, vulgarity does not make you it doesn't make you sound bright,
Not at all.
no. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
Right?
I had an architecture professor that say that just because it's cool doesn't mean you have to do it.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah. No, growing up, we all thought it was cool to cuss, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is dumb.
Yeah.
It's really just stupidity in the long
I agree.
I mean, Don, you remember our old producer Bats? He never swears, and I asked him, I go, he goes, yeah, he goes, I just woke up one morning. He goes, I felt I'm smarter than that. I don't need to use swear words, to,
yeah. But just one last thing about Hunter was just that, see, the campaign failure was not, Joe Biden's, it was George Clooney making a major contribution to ending the campaign. So it's like, please, let's shift the blame somewhere else. We saw my dad at 80, 81, 82. He's fine. It's like, no, he wasn't. What we saw was a continual decline every single year. So, it's just, the whole idea of interviewing him between all the cursing and all the other stuff like this, it's just that it was terrible. It was laughable to try to defend him. He could, I don't blame him for trying to defend his dad, but he did a horrible job at doing so. And
plus, the other thing I would just to add, he's probably looking for work at this point, and so maybe it's not good to go with these viral videos where you're using the F word constantly. It may not help you. That's all.
But I understand the bottom's falling out of his paintings.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
It's bigger than the 29 crash.
The grifting has ended, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's right. But he made a lot of money, though. It's hard to feel sorry for him. He grifted and made a lot of money on it.
Oh, he absolutely did.
I hope he saved it, though. I hope he saved that money.
Mm-hmm.
He needed that money for his legal defense for a while.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Until he got pardoned, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my last thing is a sports thing, just because was with our WNBA when they had their All-Star week, and the players came out on the court with the warm-up T-shirts about "Pay us what you owe us." It's like, yeah, okay, the NBA subsidizes this league for tens of millions of dollars. Uh, most of the teams lose money. Exactly who's paying who at this point in time. Yeah. Why are the salaries not anywhere close to NBA level? Because the revenues aren't close, and the quality of the product isn't. I mean, they're blowing it. I mean, there's a chance for the WNBA female sports to actually elevate themselves. And they have one of the biggest stars ever in Caitlin Clark. But what are they doing on the court? They're beating her up, and the refs are letting the other players get away with it. I mean, they're physically abusing Caitlin Clark, and that's how you want to treat. You should be hailing her. She is the one that is bringing you all this attention and has a chance to get you more money at the next TV deal.
Yeah.
It is just, I don't know. I mean,
if they hurt her, they're hurting themselves.
Oh yeah,
I find it funny that the WNBA has national television coverage, while NHL does not. There's no real. You don't have. They don't. I mean, they have some now, but nothing compared to baseball, football, basketball, and basically the WNBA also has better coverage than NHL hockey does, which is a tragedy because I think hockey is a lot more popular in America than WNBA.
Yeah, I don't know why. This is just a commentary. I don't know why the WNBA has so many lesbians in there, but it's just like every time I turn around, it's like, who's dating who? Who's married to who?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this has become a big head scratcher. It's like, okay, whatever. That's the world as it is. They're not bothering me so much, but there is probably a higher percentage of gays in the WNBA than in just about any other major professional sport that we have around. And I don't know what is going on over there at all. But the rest of those NBA players, you're killing the golden goose here when the way you're treating her. So
absolutely,
they're just, and they don't understand the economics. They think it's just, it's a simple equality matter. Women need to be paid the same as men. The NBA's got a whole structure, which I think a lot of players are getting overpaid, but that's the way it is. A collective bargaining agreement says this is the way the pay structure is, and they've got millions and millions of dollars in TV money, and they've got gate receipts that are out the wazoo. The WNBA doesn't have that. So
anyway. They're being nice enough to subsidize it as they are.
That's right. They wouldn't exist without the NBA trying to make it something. For heaven's sakes.
Yeah. That's true.
And we had Kelly Loeffler. I mean, she owned the Atlanta Dream for a while until all that stuff came up in her Senate run and all 9 yards, and she just got out. She was probably better off for just getting out.
Yeah, problem.
All right, that's it.
Hopefully, Kelly Loeffler will be a former senator soon. But actually, no. I'm sorry, I had her confused with someone else. But she was our candidate, I believe, right? She was the Republican running, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Loeffler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can't believe she lost. But anyways, final thoughts.
In the foot, okay?
Final thoughts. One, Baltimore County, congratulations. You guys did a wonderful Lincoln Day dinner last night with Senator McCormick and our own Governor Bob Ehrlich, who did the introduction. And this man really loves the Republican Party. Yesterday was him and Kendall's wedding anniversary. Number 32, I believe it was, or 33. And, instead of doing something else, he was at a Lincoln Day dinner. Bob and Kendall love our party. Thank you. Yes, I did take a lot of pictures yesterday. They had a great trip. They had almost like 220, 225 people there. It was great. Met a lot of our old friends out there and so on. But yeah, all was good. And but yeah, so that's one of my final thoughts. My other final thoughts is slow drivers. Really? In the left lane, you're driving 45 miles an hour, get out of the left lane. Get out of the left lane. Because if this was the Mad Max universe, you'd have a missile fired at you for driving too slow in the left lane.
Yeah. Go
And
to Utah and try to drive. Yeesh.
well, what's funny is in Florida, it's like the right lane is for going 70 miles an hour to 75 miles an hour. The middle lane is 80 to 85, or I should say 80 to 90. And then the left lane, we don't even care. Just go as fast as you want. Fast as you want. I mean, I had to take my foot off the gas. I didn't even realize I was going close to 99 on the Florida Turnpike. And here's something funny. Although that also happened to be here, one year I was going to a meeting from NIH to NASA, and there was an accident that shut down the beltway around Georgia Avenue. So after Georgia Avenue, everything was clear. And I just kind of looked out at the IKEA store. I'm like, take my foot off the gas. I don't need to be going 99 miles an hour on the Capitol Beltway in Mexico. But it's so slow drivers. And another issue another thing that I'm final thought about is, hey Don, do you ever go to the grocery store and all of a sudden a whole bunch of senior citizens show up?
Only if it's Costco. I almost never set foot in a Giant or Safeway or anything else.
Really? I was at my Kensington Safeway last maybe Monday it was. A million old. I'm like, they need to put up a sign. This is Senior Citizens Day when the bus comes from the homes. And also same frame, those shopping carts. Why do those wheels always break? I mean, the Target shopping carts that are plastic, they never seem to have those issues. Those small shopping carts never seem to have those issues. But the full-size shopping carts, the wheel sticks this or that, and it's always not fun. But yeah.
So have you been testing the executive club hours?
Oh, I love it. I was there Sunday morning, and I was talking to the guy, and I'm like, this is great. You get in at 9, and you're in and out by 9:15 because there's so few people there. And I need to remember to. Talking about Costco, I just realized I still have a check I need to use at Costco that they sent.
Yeah, you have a limited number of time to use those things.
Oh, they used to be like all the time. They never expired.
Oh no! There's an expiration date on those things. I think.
This one does not have an expiration date.
Okay. Yeah, there's two types of checks. One is the one for the 2% from the executive membership. The other one is if you have the 2% for the credit card.
Well, this one says it's a reward gift certificate.
Yeah.
Not valid for purchases over $12.50, which is kind of. Why couldn't you just use the $2.50 for that and then pay the balance? But yeah, and Costco seniors, I love it. I love those. They're great.
Yeah, we've tested this out. Not only here, but when we were in Utah, we're like, this was great. Hardly anybody in the store. You get in and you can get out.
By the way, have you seen they've got I've never tried them, but the Dole whips, is that like a frozen custard or like a Italian ice? Is that what that tastes like? Have you ever had those? The Dole whips?
I haven't. I think they're better when you get them at a restaurant or whatever. But yeah, I don't know what it's like. I know my daughter-in-law says we have to try it. She goes, gotta try that. It used to be available at Nando's Peri Peri, but I'm a little bit more leery about buying the frozen version out of the freezer versus trying it out at a restaurant first to see what it tastes like.
And now they're also selling, those little mochi ice cream things. I think it's ice cream They sell those in large quantities at Costco's now too.
Yeah, no, we've bought those. We've bought a lot of stuff like that. Asian food, we will buy a lot of it.
Is that actually Asian food? I thought just somebody invented that recent.
Mochi.
You know,
Look,
yeah.
I grew mochi is kind of a rice cake thing that you heat up, and variations of that.
That's not ice cream.
That's a Japanese, Korean thing or whatever. I grew up eating that stuff. Okay, the ice cream thing I didn't even know existed until Costco stocked it.
By the way, speaking of, do you remember a comedian named Margaret Cho?
Sure, yeah, foul.
She had a show called All American Girl on ABC, and what I thought was funny is they were evidently the reason the show got canceled. The network wanted her to be more Korean. I'm like, she's not making this up as she goes along. She's reading whatever script you hand her. And I just thought it's funny that, these are actors. It's not real life. She's not really acting, like that in real life, but yeah. So that's it for my final thoughts. And we're in extra innings. Good night, everyone. Good night, Craig.
Right.
Good night, Susan. And we'll see everyone again.
Who was yawning so much we needed coffee? Was that you?
Was it Dave? I think Dave.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I have my Coke Zeros. By the way, very last final thoughts.
Wow.
Is the vending machine now at NASA are charging that sales tax on vending stuff. So this bottle is now $2.65 instead of $2.50, which I think that's a little high too. $2.50 for a bottle of Coke like this.
But it's a vending machine.
I pay for the convenience. So good night, everyone. See everyone next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Susan.
This is Governor Bob Ehrlich. Good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go.
You're watching Dr. Politics.
They're Dr. Politics. He's the one to see. Breaking down